Hey guys, I am live today again with Stewart already. This is Badass Show, our new format, because last time we were experimenting, not last time, during I think 1 year we were experimenting with the format, and this is finally we found what we were looking for. This is a Badass Show. It's gonna be live on Facebook and then posted on all our socials as well. And what is Badass Show? Badass Show is a raw and real talk show with no holds barred. So I'm gonna interview digital professionals, badass digital professionals, and I'm gonna ask them about everything, make them vulnerable, and they're gonna tell me everything, hopefully. So welcome to Better Show. I'm gonna do it every Tuesday at 5 p.m. UK Lisbon time. And I'm really happy that we have this new format. And today in my virtual studio, I have Sasha Lipman, co-founder of Tech to Impact. And I'm gonna add her to the screen. Boom.
Hi.
Hi, Sasha. How are you doing?
Oh, good. I'm happy you can hear me. Technology, it works.
Yeah, we can figure it out for a while. So, how are you? And where in the world are you right now?
I am, let's say, thrilled and nervous about today. I'm very curious how it goes, because when you usually have like talks or panels, you have like questions and stuff like this, which I actually like because it's kind of nice to have a challenge. Good.
But the show doesn't have a rehearsal. I don't send questions to nobody. So
Yes, but it's tempting and exciting. Let's say I'm excited. Let's go from unstressed to I'm excited. That's easy way to do.
Yeah. Where are you?
Vienna, Austria. Right now, exactly in my apartment, semi-home office, trying not to be on the heat. Yeah, Vienna.
How's the COVID there?
Better, definitely better. I think it's one of the countries who managed it in the best way because it's a very good system here. And I was talking to my friends. It's like it's one of the best countries to be in lockdown. It's up and down, but I think they're mitigating it in a very good way. So comparing to where I'm coming from, that's a really good place to be. That's for sure.
Where are you from, by the way?
Ukraine. From Ukraine.
Oh,
yeah. Neighbors. yeah. Sure, I'm from Ukraine.
I'm in Portugal. It's a lot of sun, awesome weather. I'm by the ocean. Almost.
What are you doing to me?
I'm just seeing the palm tree, just from my window.
Oh, this one is beautiful.
Can be happier as well. So let's start this. Let's do this.
It's gonna be
amazing.
Ready.
Don't worry. First of all, me and all our viewers want to know, I'm sure, what is your story, who you are, what is Tech to Impact, what are you doing, what are your current projects?
It's so funny you're asking me what's my story, and I just right before us finished one of our webinars with one of our mentors for our startups, exactly on storytelling. And he was like, "What's your story?" I'm like, "Oh, flashback! It just happened an hour ago." So I should maybe listen to him more carefully and be more prepared. But destiny. Long story short, I've been working myself in impact field in the NGO called ISEC. I'm sure a lot of people know that, but it's a global youth organization with coverage in more than 100 countries. I've been doing it since the first year of my university. So I think I always say that my university was actually ISEC and not my actual university. I'm so sorry if anyone from university is listening to it. Because I was studying Japanese, it had no sense. It just felt like it's a very perspective profession, and I went for it, and then I realized it's completely not my thing. But in Ukraine, you don't quit; you finish it, you have it done, and they give your diploma to your parents as a nice bye-bye gift where you're living further. So that's sort of how I entered in the NGO field. And after 4 years there, with all the challenges and all the crazy experiences of like being part of youth organization, running international projects, being responsible for people coming all over to your city, and later on actually running a big financial projects on national level. And actually, that's how I got to Austria. So I was in Ukraine for a national team, like it's with a priority. And then I had a chance to go to Austria. And after 1 year here, I had a very deep dive in the startup scene for a year. And we back then brought a lot of international students to startups to kind of get this whole cross-culture experience. And that's how I ended up in startup scene. And I think in the last 4 years after this, so I have 5 years of ISEC and 4 years of startup scene, I had a very deep dive in tech. So tech scene, accelerator, startup, pitching competition, millions events, which I think half of them I met Stewart on. So that's another thing that everyone goes
Right.
on. The crew, I call
Name
the
the
gang.
conference, and he was or will be a speaker there.
Yeah, usually that's how it goes. Usually, like before I go, so I'm like, Stuart, are you there? If he's there, it's a good conference. Yeah, I should go. Yeah, so it's like, I always call it like
For
a
those who
summer
don't
camp.
know who's new here, Stuart is my co-founder. So Stewart
Yes.
Rogers, speaker of all the conferences you can possibly imagine and you can name.
Yes, definitely. I think due to his talks, I discovered more conferences than you before. Yeah, so sort of these two combinations, I had this passion for impact for 5 years of making change and being able to do it without crazy budgets. And all my projects were insanely with small budgets or no budgets at all. And I used to do like projects with actually like we had Acceleration where we needed to pay a huge debt as organization. So I needed to make a project, like a huge event, which actually costs money. So we made it with profit and spent like maybe 1/10 of this. And when I'm telling the story here in Europe, I was like, how does this work? Usually events go in zero. I'm like, nope, we got 90% profit. We had no choice. And things like this, it kind of shapes you. And after 4 years and after being like in different jobs here in Austria, working like as a accelerator building, as innovation scouting, like all of these things which you can imagine in startup scene. After 99 million of pitches, I had this grudge inside me that I couldn't understand why social impact is a niche, why social impact is all in on a profit. And I had this in my head, because when you go and you have around the tech scene that social impact is this niche somewhere in the corner was the booth in the startups, like in the conference where no one looked into them. It's a typical, startup conference with social impact there. And I always felt like, yeah, maybe my assumptions were right, and social impact is only for non-profits. You need to get a grant, you need to get sponsorship to make this work. And then actually there was a bit of a trigger. My previous job, I was working in a growth hacking agency, and one of the co-founders back then actually hired me with the question like, yes, you should be a project manager, but hey, you have so much experience in impact. What can we do? And he was very passionate about impact, and he didn't know what can we do. And we sort of in the beginning wanted to do like a 1 or 2 sessions in some accelerator, but then we actually took a leap and made our own accelerator, because why not? And we had a 3 months growth hack and accelerator for impact startups. And that was a year ago, and that was a big trigger for me, because that's the first time I started seeing the pattern of impact technology, of having actually a profitable business model behind it, and seeing that those guys just need the direction, need the expertise, need support. And there's not that much running in the field between those ecosystems, between impact and tech ecosystem. Because if you put your toes in sort of 2 rivers, you kind of see that they have both very strong ones, but they're not interconnected between each other. For sure, there are a lot of things happening, and that's sort of where, for me, was the trigger that I had in 1 month seen 2 worlds in a very extensive way. So we first had our invitation to join Serbia conference and to present us as a cool CSR initiative, because we're a typical company. And I remember it was exciting going there for like impact conference, and I was massively disappointed by the quality of startups, because that's where the stereotype sometimes comes from. Impact people just have this vision, they're so hippie-dippies, and they don't have any business model. I always was like, no, that's not true, until I actually saw that. I was like, oh no, yeah, I see where you guys coming from. And then after this a bit of disappointment, I remember like I flew back to Vienna for our pitching. So we had the pre-pitching for the acceleration program, like a selection process. And I remember seeing our 5 or 6 startups back then we selected, all having business model, all having technology, all having a clear path. Like obviously they need coaching direction, they're early stage, but there was this attitude like, it's not social impact, we're not labeling it, we're just making like solving the real problem. And working with those guys for 3 months.
What do you mean? They were rejecting that it's actually a social impact?
No, not like rejecting, but some impact startups are putting it like, that's my thing. I'm a social impact, meaning that I have this like attitude of I'm gonna do impact only and money doesn't matter.
Saint attitude.
Not even saint, but it's like, this is usually this type of angle where like money doesn't matter. If you think about financials, you're greedy. I want to focus on impact. And I was like, how will it work? How will it scale if you cannot combine those two? And it hit me, it hit me that impact tech startups, it's not about putting a label. It's not about putting a niche. It's a typical startup which solves a problem. Just the question is which problem you choose. And I'm pretty much fed up with startups who are making the problem to solve it. Like, I don't think we need another dating blockchain app and things like this, and they're popping up like mushrooms after the rain. And I always thought like these small ones, these cool startups which are there, they always either get misunderstood because they're using word impact, which is like, oh no money, or they don't feel comfortable enough to step out of the impact ecosystem.
Okay. They. Who are you? What is your mission? And are you guys, by the way, bootstrapped or funded?
Bootstrapped. We are bootstrapped. Yeah. So in a nutshell, that's
what are you about?
What are we doing? What are we? So that's a pre-story how Tech to Impact was created. Like the gap which I saw in that few events coming up together, and we went actually to 4 years from now, and then I was having another set of pitching of irrelevant startups. Sorry to everyone, but still. That's where it was a trigger. I was always thinking that I want to have my own accelerator, like in 5 years. And then a friend of mine.
Why accelerator?
It felt cool. I loved it.
Cool. That's how the idea has always started. And like,
I was running one accelerator.
Why did I start this? I'm gonna do it. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's usually how it goes, right? Frankly, I had this like a picture, that I'm going to be running something on my own, but I felt like, as a woman, as an entrepreneur, like I think I should be ready when I'm 30, because like when you're young, it's like, no, you need to get experience and all this, things you get from middle-aged white guys saying that, no, you're too young. And I always had this like picture, I'm too young.
You're too young, you're too fat, you're too tall.
You're too something. But you know what I mean? When you work in the tech scene, when like 60% of people are usually...
it's not really even a tech scene, like sexism is everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah. But I'm coming from the field where I can talk about it,
So how did you actually, why Accelerator? How did you actually find the way to launch it?
In the end, to kind of clarify to you, we are not an accelerator. I had the plan to do one in 5 years, but a lot of things changed, and the trigger was to do something which kind of we didn't know that COVID is happening, but we planned it perfectly, because the thing which we always wanted to do was to do something global, virtual, and accessible. And in the end, we decided not to go for accelerator, but we decided to build a bridge between two ecosystems. So actually to build an impact tech ecosystem, a platform where everyone involved in impact technology can support founders. Because for us, the impact tech founders, so founders who use technology to address global issues, doesn't matter on the local, regional, and global level, but they use technology to make a change or to create a significant impact and what I always say, solve a real problem. These are the guys which we are working for, which we are working with, and they are the heart of everything we do. And we built an ecosystem, and it's frankly, we launched 2 months ago, but it's been a while. We were working on this, like I think at least half a year we were building it up. And it's been only 2 months, but it feels like forever. The idea, sorry?
I know the feeling.
Yeah, especially you guys would know that. True. That's true. Yeah, I mean, to give you a natural perspective, so we are a global platform for the impact ecosystem, with the heart of it being the founders, and everything we do is around and for them. We have a mentorship program, which is a virtual mentorship program with more than 23 top-notch experts who are coaching one-on-one with a certain dedicated mentee. So we went away from Accelerator model. I realized that it's not helping. Like what founders need is not a set of sessions and set of like one-on-ones, 1 hour, but they need someone as a helping hand, someone as a, this person you go to whine about the problems, or the person you ask to challenge your ideas. And this is what we wanted to build. And we managed to get fantastic lineup of mentors. I'm very grateful to everyone in my network who joined. And now we actually got in 2 months. Right now we have 93 founders, 93 members from Asia to like Colombia. Yeah, and you see, this, it's like collecting uniqueness. We are collecting unique entrepreneurs and fantastic innovators who are passionate about solving something that needs to be solved. They're putting business model around it. It's not a niche. That's what makes me happy to show it to the world, that impact tech is not a certain niche, which is like a special kids in the corner. This is startups who actually need to be a mainstream, who need to be in front line, because they are the ones who use technology and use their skills to solve what needs to be solved.
Do you have any kind of application process? Like, do you accept everyone?
Oh no. That's another topic. Impact comes with the cost. Impact as a word is thrown in so many things which are not impactful. You would be surprised.
How strict is the
very? So for us, we first of all focus on the startups or the founders who are at least MVP. We do let in certain things, idea stage startups, in the way to give them access to some things, because we also understand that they need some boost and help. But our key driver and our members are the ones who have at least MVP. And you will find our techtoimpact.com/startups. You will find our impact Accelerator, which showcases all the members we have. You can filter them, you can browse them, and you will find their startups who just launched half a year ago and the ones who are on the market for 5 years. We don't differentiate between stage. But for us, it's important that they can clearly explain what they do in terms of impact. So we use the Sustainable Development Goals framework from United Nations. So we ask them always which Sustainable Development Goal they're addressing, and even more which targets they're addressing, because it's super easy to say my startups is for quality education without understanding what this goal stands for. So for us, we always have a screening process that they fit the criteria, that they use technology. And for us, it's important that it's technology as a solution, because there are a lot of startups who say, I'm a tech startup and I'm donating 10% to charities. Not our guys. We are looking for a solution for the problem. And that's sort of the angle we go with. Right. We didn't reject a bunch of them. We had so many tech startups finding the opportunity for free mentorship very tempting, and applying to us and finding their impact out of a sudden. It was hilarious. Yeah, strict was that.
So share with us and with me what challenges did you face starting the company? How big is your team?
Team. That's my pride and joy, to be honest. I'm very grateful to have them. I have a team of 5. I have a team of 5 fantastic people, all coming from different countries, always the same passion and always the equal amount of dedication. Even like sometimes, when you're very low in the day and you get the message from the team that they got this new post happening or something small, and you see how they're happy, this changes everything. And I think that was something which changed in my head, because I always thought, team is essential and needed. But then I realized you plan so many things in, like, you want to do this and this and this, and you want to try that. And I realized that I'm very lucky, because my base of my team is what keeps me strong and keeps me grounded. And I know with them, I will go anywhere. And that's a very luck I got, and I'm very grateful for this, because it doesn't happen often. Like, I've been in so many teams, and this is a very unique.
Sasha, back to challenges.
Yeah. That's the one. Challenge was to find the right team. Challenge was to find the right team. You see, I can talk about my team forever. I love them. If you guys are watching, love you. Yes. So challenges. Challenges. Let's start. Number 1, my head. That took me some time to take a leap, because from where I'm coming from, entrepreneurship is, you don't do that. It's like, you don't do that. It's not smart. You don't have a stable ground. You don't have a stable salary. Don't do that. Like it was never like, you know, a thing like in Europe, it's try entrepreneurship. It's so cool. If you fail, it's fine. For us, like where I grew up, for us, entrepreneurship was always like one chance. If you failed, you failed. Your whole family will disrespect you, and all this, all the drama. You know what I mean? We're coming from the same ground.
I do.
Yeah, I mean, now
I know. It's yeah. You have to have balls to start a business
you do.
in a foreign country. Especially as a woman, as alone, you have all these ideas and
I think I feel more
fears,
comfortable doing
right?
it.
It's hard to decide and to kind of mentally allow yourself to start a company.
Yeah. I mean, and add to this 5 years of listening everywhere that men are the ones to do it, and you need to hold on to the guy because he's the one who will bring the company further. And seeing all the tech startups, which pretty much have like at least 70% guys only. And even for us, when we started scouting startups, I was knowing the problem that there is a underrepresentation of women, but not in such scale. And it makes sense, like if you get in question on the interview, when do you plan to have kids and things like that? Or like you have no idea how many times I needed to get my self-esteem higher and actually give myself a reality check that, God, I know what I'm doing and I have knowledge and I have skills, because I changed a few jobs, not because I wanted to change them, but because of visa or whatever, like I had my things. And every time in every job, I was coming with an additional experience, but it was every time start from scratch. Prove yourself, show it to everyone, get somewhere, prove that you being 24-year-old girl back then, or 20 or 22, it's not possible that you have all this experience. You faked it on your CV. Like I had once an interview with my lovely boss. I love him, but his question was like, this sarcastic, like, you have crisis management on your CV. Oh, come on, what crisis did you have? And then I started explaining like situations when I needed to run to the hospital in the middle of the night in Ukraine to pick up the Chinese student who's lost, and things like having a whole conference venue being not ready one day before. And like these small things which shape you. And he's like, oh, I'm like, yeah. And because there is such a stigma about women, especially expat also, like you don't speak German, like what do you know? And like you want to be a low global ecosystem, what are you doing? Like, I'm very lucky to have another.
A lot of barriers like this.
A lot
like
here. It's here because I don't even have problems starting the company. I don't have issues right now. Like anyone telling us that we should.
You don't have issues with self-esteem, but you always get these barriers. Like, who are you? Prove it. You can. Prove that you can. Prove that your experience, that you are bold.
Takes time, like, because in my head it was always like, okay, I need to get to my 30s and only then I can do something with all my baggage of experience. But a friend of mine said, just do it. Just do it. And I'm grateful to her because, again, female friend. She's like, what are you waiting for? I'm like, I don't know. It's like, I feel like I need to get more experience because you need to be like all those cool guys. And then you realize you don't. You just need to do it, and you just need to put 100% yourself in this and go for it. So I think my biggest challenge was overcoming my own perception of myself to put it through. I mean, for sure, there's a lot of challenges coming in with like finding the right co-founders, finding the right team, a typical startup ones, like finding, positioning, putting ourselves, like we are still figuring out our business model, like, and I was talking with my parents, like it feels like before and after. That nothing will ever be the same again because now you are finally responsible. Like I used to make so many projects for other organizations, but now it's you, it's your face, it's your idea, it's people who are counting you in the team, in the network, members, like no pressure, like at all. But so I sort of switched it, like I realized that it's not a pressure, it's actually the crowd I can rely on to give me a reality check. So as soon as you change this in your head, kind of makes it not easier, but more pleasant.
You to get your shit together and like take yourself together and fight all those inner doubts and stuff like that, like to deal with yourself.
My friends are usually joking about it. Like, my friends are usually joking about it, but I always say I trust my gut feeling. I do. And it works. Like, if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit, and I know it. And I had so many cases when I learned that it's like, I should have not done that. I knew that. So I would say gut feeling. I know if I feel that something needs to be done and I feel that I'm the one who needs to be the one to do that, I go for it. I know it's a bit blah, blah, but you know the feeling when you know it. And frankly, I think that the loophole I got myself into, I shared about this idea with few people whom I know will ask me in a bit, how is it going? And knowing that, like, you just give your promises to people, and this is kind of also pushing you to move on, because you can always pause, especially when you're not live, like when you're not launched it, you can always postpone and move and everything. But we've postponed a few times because of the lockdown, because of the things. But then actually during the lockdown, we realized that it's the best time to do that. And we need to just go for it. And so many people were saying, no, you should not do it. But now, wait for it. I was like, no. We're doing it because we need to make this done.
What to wait for when you don't know where all this will end? And by the way, if you're online and everybody is online, I think is the best.
It was the perfect setting for us. Like, launching the global virtual ecosystem.
Yes, same what we thought about Badass times. When, if not now, when all the world is basically online, mostly all the events are online.
Which will stay like this for a while, I think. I don't think we are going anytime soon.
And I think to me, this is gonna be like, this is a good solution, and it's gonna be even developing even more online, which is like, even COVID or not, is the progression of our like web. World Wide Web.
It gives accessibility. That's the issue with a lot of things which we have in Europe and in the US with all these tech conferences. Like, it's not accessible. It's expensive. And I do love physical meetings, but no.
How do you help to solve your startup founders' problems when let's say, okay, the founder says like, I can't do it anymore, I'm tired, I'm sick of it. Give me some situations. Did you face something like that, like unbelievable during the existence of your startup?
No. Let's say like this. I had the moments personally where I was like, what's happening? Because it's a lot of pressure when you release the first product. The first mentorship application we released, it's like, it's your first shot, it's your face, it's how you do it. And then when I realized that...
And our culture as well, for doing everything perfect.
Yeah, exactly. It's your face, it's your reputation.
Which is really, I was fighting it for years and years and years. I couldn't write an article without like, oh my God, it has to be perfect. Otherwise, so much shit out there in the internet. Who's gonna read it? And all this tremor and all this like.
I actually think that perfection is not such a bad thing.
Okay, I want more. Tell me more.
Yeah, sure. To answer one of your things, like, I don't think perfection is a bad thing. I actually think it's what drives people and what puts you in the right place. So, I mean, in a healthy manner. But frankly, like, when I talk with startups, luckily we never had the case when someone would be like, that's it. In the end, that's awful. Luckily. But I think I realized this in the very beginning, that the whole lockdown and situation is harming everyone. And I didn't know how to deal with it as a founder. And actually, that's the moment when we realized that we should have a conversation with someone who knows how to handle mental health topics. And we actually called Stewart. reminding about him one more time. And we have this thing, we have a virtual meetup with founders every month on the topic to help them, because we didn't want to be this typical communities which just does the talking and things like this. It's a founders network. It's a founders supporting each other and helping each other, and it's a safe space. It was the most important for me to build a safe space for entrepreneurs to ask for advice, to get help. It's tricky to be out there. It's tricky to be a founder. So why not to have a space where everyone can be actually supporting each other? And that was one first topic we brought up. Our first virtual meetup was mental health for founders. Because I not only saw it, but I felt it, like it's, you always read about these burnouts. I used to have a burnout like a few years ago. It was just too much pressure on me back then. I was 19 or something. And I was like, no, I'm never going to go back to having panic attacks and things like this. And this, like, how it works, like, the triggers, you're prepared for this, but it hits you again. And you're like, oh, no, no. And I think when I noticed.
You mentioned something happened to you.
Yeah.
So you felt something like you can't cope with it. It was too much at some point.
Not too much, but this, you put a deadline on an application form, right? And you do the first thing. Like, yes, you're in the market for 2 months. I keep on reminding this myself, you're just there for 2 months, chill. But it's the first thing. You kind of want it to be like, I'm a goal person. Like, I have a goal and I want to reach it. Like, it's a great and a bad thing at the same time. Like, I had a goal for us to get like 100 applicants. And it was not going anywhere. Like, in the first few weeks, it's like, what is happening? We're doing this and this and this. And then, when you let go a little, that you did your best and over the best, it just popped. Like, in one day, we got like 50, like another one's more 10, like, just goes. But it's an effort. And if you got on board 5 people from your team, you got on board 23 mentors, you got on board 20 partners who want this to work, and you're in the end the one who needs to make this work no matter what.
How did you step out of this depressive state?
No, I was not depressive. I would not call it like I was not depressive. I was stressed as fuck. I was not depressed. I was stressed. That's different. Depression is something you cannot control. Stress, you kind of can.
Not all the time.
Yeah, you kind of do something. I mean, okay, sorry, no, meditation, yoga doesn't help me. Like, I tried. I just get irritated.
Really?
No, it doesn't help you. Sorry?
What helped you?
My team.
Your team?
Mm-hmm. I remember I told you in the beginning that I changed it in my head that no matter what will happen, I have them and we will do cool stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
It's the ground.
Did you talk frankly with them? Like, did you explain how you feel?
No. They saw it. I mean, I'm not the person who practice delegating the stress. I think that
it's vulnerability.
No. I don't mean, don't get me wrong. I think it's like my team knows when I'm in a bad place, and they help me. So they know me, and we know each other.
I think you can feel and sense it.
You can, but you can be professional about it and do something about it. I know what you mean. Like it's again, same culture mentality. You understand me. Like, we're not from the countries where vulnerability is welcome. Not the place. But the thing is that with my team, we got this right dynamic that we will be there for each other and we'll back up each other. So actually, at some point, everyone on my team were overwhelmed. And I'm very grateful that we have such a dynamic when they can come to me and talk with me about it. And actually helping them with their struggles, trying to mitigate it, it healed. It healed me. It gave me understanding that I can help them. And I know if I develop them, we're going to move further. And the understanding that you're not in this alone, this is a very big trick. And people are saying, yes, you need to have strong co-founders. I would rather say you need to have a good team. Like, you can have as many co-founders as you want. But I think I'm just very lucky to have the core 5 people who just wanted to make this work. I would say this way.
So, as you said that everybody's saying, like, what do you can? How can you do it? Where is your experience? How old are you? Why don't you have kids? How do you talk to those people who are telling you or asking you that?
They're my favorite.
Conferences, on pitches and stuff.
I will tell you one short story. Just an example. It was 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago. I just started my experience in my previous company. And so I was hired as a person who has expertise in building accelerators. That was the reason why I was there. And I do. I worked extensively for a year with a lot of international accelerators, and I know what is happening, and I know how to make programs. And there's the first client I'm getting as a customer. Guess what? 4 middle-aged white guys who are all Austrians and all have the attitude of like, no speaking English, no English, no, 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 no. But I remember like what actually helps is the cool outfit. It does help me a lot on this type of meetings where you feel strong and confident inside you, because I mean, yeah, people say don't mind looks, but come on, it helps. And there was a meeting, and I said to them, I don't feel comfortable speaking German, but I did not specify I don't understand German. So we had a meeting, and I'm explaining them, presenting them the concept which I prepared for them and how we should do it, and like, you know, asking all the questions. And I think you just need to forget how old you are and all the misperceptions you heard from before. And at some point they switched to German and talked to each other about me. And I understand everything because I understand German. I don't speak it, but I understand it. And then I think that was the moment I was like, whether I will do it now or not. And I actually replied to them in English on what they were discussing about me. And you know, this like, I'm like, I told you I don't speak it. I didn't say I don't understand it. It's kind of, you kind of need to challenge the status quo.
Were they shitting you? What did you say?
Nothing, you know, nothing like sexist or something. It was more like not questioning my expertise. And I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, this is where it comes from. And I had a lot of cases with them after when I would recommend them something and they will doubt that and they will do something different. And then in the end, it was how I said it should be done. Twice, yeah, and have them around too. I think it's still, I mean, it's still hard. I'm still having shivers of talking to like investors who are like up to 30 and you know, I'm thinking they're better than me and everything. But it's all here. It's all here. I'm vulnerable enough to accept when I don't know something, and I'm not the cocky one to be like, I know everything. Like half of people, startups who do this, like I know everything. Like I don't need anyone's advice. No, it's not that I have, but I'm constantly reminding myself of the value I can bring to the table and the experience I have from before and the results I did before. To know that I know myself as a person and I know I can do it. If I know how to do it, I will find a way. And this is sort of the attitude that helps me a lot to call these things up.
Was it difficult to integrate into Austrian tech culture and community?
You know, I always say I'm lucky because my first year here I was part of ISEC in Austria, was surrounded immediately with like 60 international people. So it's quite international here. It does a lot of requires German speaking, yes, in the corporate world. In startup scene, no. In startup scene, you can survive in English. For sure, you should know German, but it's not like you cannot live here with that. So it's a cool scene. I love it. I love the Austrian startup scene because it's like it's a safe yard. It's not too crazy like Berlin. It's not insane like US. And it has this like, you know, it has a safe pillar. You have grants, you have business angels. It's not the place to do something global and massive. No, it's a good place to start doing it. Like you want to scale, maybe not the right fit, like intensively scale, like Series A, B. But the scene is growing. It's growing step by step. It's getting better. It's getting bigger. And I think also like Vienna is one of the greatest places to be an entrepreneur. That's for sure.
What do you think is going to happen when COVID is over? What are your plans?
Poof. Where to start? First, I don't think it's ever going to be the same. I'm on the team. It's not going to go back to normal. I'm on that team. Not going to go back to normal because people changed. Not all of them. I wish a lot of people would change their behavior. But things change. You're more adapted to technology and all the old school mentalities, like you need to do everything in person and things like that. I think for us, nothing massively will change as Stack to Impact because we want it to be virtual from the beginning on. So it's like going with the flow. It's like, thank you, universe, in a way. I think what will actually change is how people, I hope what will change is how people treat impact startups. Because COVID showed that when it matters, no one cares about dating blockchain app. It doesn't help. When it matters, you want something which can solve your problem immediately. I was just giving recently an interview to partners of ours from Bulgaria about green tech. And I was talking with them is that if we would know that COVID will hit us in 10, 15 years, we will never be so efficient. You would never be so assertive in making solutions and fixing the problem. That's the same with climate change. We know it's coming, but we don't feel it. That's why I think COVID is a good example how you can actually put your shit together in some point.
Why are you so tough about dating apps?
It's just like the thing, okay, for example, food delivery is still makes sense. But when this moment when you go on the pitching competition and you have this 10 line of startups and none of them is actually making something useful in terms of not only saving kids in Africa. Not one of them, but okay, don't get me wrong, I'm super up for startups. It happens. Okay, frankly, it happens. It's some I'm not one of the people who say only do impact stuff. No, I completely understand this, and the economy needs to work and things need to happen. And come on, I also love comfort of cool tools. Who doesn't? Who doesn't? But it just bugs me the percentage. Out of 100% of startups we have, how many of them are really doing something relevant? Because this is
I met a lot.
A lot, I agree. There is a good
and cool startups in medical startups.
Exactly, it's growing.
They're people are doing cool shit right now, and
they do.
That's what excites me. And I can my head is spinning. I just every day this, look at this, look at this, look at it. Oh my god!
Send them to me. Send them to me. They're really good. No,
I actually not so these days. A few days ago, I read the news that one of the startups that said they had artificial intelligence maintaining their clients' finances. But for the reality was that they just had thousands of accountants. and it went above the water, and everyone knew about that. And damn,
that's what I mean.
Massive crash.
You know what I'm always saying in these cases? I am super pro non-impact startups. As soon as they're using responsible technology, though, that's another topic for another day.
For me, it's just the credo for life is just don't be a dick. So you're being a dick. You are actually lying to everybody, to investors, to clients, to everyone.
That's a typical way.
It's gotta be massive fail one day.
You see also this, how much investment is going into things which I'm not saying they should not exist, but I am. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry about that.
What's happening? Something is there. Did you have a boyfriend that had dating startups?
No. It's just an example.
Startups or shit.
Okay, I can give you a bunch of other examples. Just the first one which came to me, not because of the boyfriend. Why? Come on, it's not the reason to hate the startups. No, not because of that. What I'm always saying, if we use innovation to solve the problem, and there are 10,000 solutions which are doing exactly the same thing, and the problem is solved. There is no problem anymore. Stop solving it. It's solved. That's what bugs me. I'm not saying that the non-impact startup should not exist. Completely not. You need a lot of things in the world.
They didn't have solved problems too.
They do. But how many of them do we need? That's the point. How many do we need of that? This market is fine. It's enough of it.
Right. Sasha, what is the plan for your startup? How are you gonna scale further?
So we are scaling in the because we are network-based, community-based as the core. We are scaling in this way. So we have a lot of partners, ecosystem partners like accelerators, incubators, networks, and this is growing too. So we are covering bits by bits global ecosystem. And that's how we scale. We scale through them. They recommend the founders. They help us to, like, we are an umbrella organization. They help us to bring everyone in the one space. And that's why we have Impact Tech Creator to showcase all the Impact Tech founders. And this is the ultimate goal of Tech to Impact, to be the place for anyone globally who is interested in Impact Tech and to have their whole bouquet.
Dream vision of Tech to Impact?
Oh, we just came from strategy retreats from the weekend, so I can definitely tell you how we see it. As I said to you, like, I want this to be a place where, as an Impact Tech founder, you find everything you need. Whether it's knowledge, resource, advice, whether it's a community, whether it's corporate partner, whether it's an investor, whether it's good people to work for you. That's the angle we're taking. So the founders are the heart of it. And for us, it's not only them there. That's why we have their accelerators, incubators, we have their investors, we have their already bits by bits coming corporates. It's our logic is like this. There are people who are innovators and geniuses, and they are having a cool tech solution. And we are the whole crowd putting our resources, knowledge, anything we can to scale those guys. So if we can put the right ecosystem, the right flow, and to help the right founders, in my perception, to scale, then they scale their impact and we scale the massive impact of everything together. So that's our angle. We put the whole place for Impact Tech founders. That's where we're going.
What would be your advice to someone starting a startup right now? What is the way to success?
Don't hustle. Don't use this fancy power through quotes. They don't help. I think the one advice I would say, if it's something that you feel in your gut feeling that you are passionate about it, and you're not doing it just because to raise money or to make business, you need to have your heart in this. I'm not saying you should not think about financials. You definitely should. Otherwise, you're going to go crazy. But the basis for me is if your heart is in it, if it's something that you want, if it's something that you know you have passion about, and especially this is the only reason why startups succeed, in my opinion, because there is this one star light in front of you, North Star, however you want to call it, which you're passionate about. And it can change the shape, it can change the logic, it can change companies. But if it's something that you feel connected, passionate about, that will work. And I can tell you from the startups I'm seeing in our network, a lot of impact startups are solving the problem that they faced or their loved ones faced or they saw. And you can see why they're succeeding, because they know that they're not just solving it for someone far away or someone that they think should be like a customer, but they're solving it for someone they love. I'm not saying that you only need to create first product if you're connected to it personally, but you definitely need to start a startup when your heart is in it. Otherwise, everything else you can figure out. It's hard, it's tricky, but it's founder's life. Everything else you can figure out. But if your heart is not in it, it's not going to work. And the burnout.
Any survival tips for the lockdown startup founders?
Get ready for the second wave. Wink, wink. Actually, I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I mean, come on. We're kind of all smart people here. We know that it's hopefully not going to be the same crazy as in spring, because I don't think economy will survive that. But what I recommend the founders in our network, and that's actually a recommendation from a lot of mentors in our network, is to that's this perfect time to innovate, at the perfect time to get more digital, at the perfect time to kind of challenge everything you did before, because COVID is terrible for the world, but it's for founders is one side terrible, yes, but from another side, it's like a whole world telling you to slow down for a second, take a look at what you're doing, and get a reality check whether what you're doing actually makes sense. Because the world will never going to be the same again. It's not about being dramatic right now, but it's true. It's true. We get so much used to digital stuff that, sorry, but now even for me, home office used to be like irrelevant thing. But now I always say, can I please stay in home office? Because I'm way more efficient and I get so many things done more faster, because you don't have commute. You don't have the irrelevant 10 minutes of intro to the meeting. How is the weather and everything? You kind of go to the point, which is perfect.
I think we were husband just now. I think you were
Hi,
closing
Angela.
now.
Yeah, it's all good. We're back.
Yeah, so yeah, I love home office as well. And I will not change it for a regular office. So,
Both are good.
Sasha, thank you so much. Yeah,
Thanks for
go
having
on,
me.
go on, go on.
No,
What
no,
did
no.
you want to say?
No, I was just saying that both are good. Home office and non-home office, everything is good. Just work.
I
Do your
really
thing.
love my home environment
Yeah.
right now.
Not
And
everyone have this luxury as we do. If you have kids and family, not the best place to work.
true.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
thank you, Sasha, for an awesome
Thank you very much
conversation.
for having me.
It was Sasha Lipman, co-founder of a startup called Tech to Impact Entrepreneur, and me, Victoria Loskachova. And this whole thing is called Badass Show. But the show will be live every Tuesday at 5 p.m. UK Lisbon time. I'm going to invite interesting digital professionals, entrepreneurs, founders, CEOs, and all these badass people. If you didn't check our Badass Times, the first online publication for digital nomads with social media in it, please go to badasstimes.com, check it out. We are currently looking for contributors and staff writers, and our competition is on contribute an article, and if it will get the most amount of eyeballs to see it, you are gonna win an amazing small shiny thing that will give you unlimited internet in 130 countries, which is made by Skyrim. And we're really proud of this collaboration with our friends from Skyrim. Thank you very much for listening, for watching me and my face for so long. Next, see you on Tuesday with a new guest. I'm going to announce it on our page, Badass Empire. And stay badass and don't be a dick. I'll see you soon.